Okay, so let's talk about how when we do get up the courage to go for it, to go do the scary thing, and then what happens when inevitably that inner critic tries to creep in and wreak havoc the way that it does. So, personal example here. Recently, I was there's an organization that I've been participating in, and they have an award. Um, an annual award where you can go in and get nominated and then do all the things that you need to do to get voted for. And I had seen the emails coming and the social media posts coming up, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. Here's my inner critic. I haven't done enough to earn that. I don't really know why I would deserve to have an award like that, right? And then of course my true self, we'll call it, was like, what are you talking about? you you have been out there, you have been advocating for mompreneurs, for military spouse entrepreneurs, for women of, that are doing all sorts of different types of journeys. You've been showing up for people and supporting people. Why in the world wouldn't you, you know, be be somebody who could go for this, right? That's
Mhm.
my inner cheerleader, is that I've, trained to talk over this inner critic. And so here's what happened. Like the last day that we could be submitted for it, I did. I
Mhm.
got submitted for this thing and I made it to the finals.
Good for
And
you.
so thank you. And so I was pumped. I was excited about it. Well, anyways, yesterday rolls around and we get this email that says voting is open. So I was like, okay, I didn't think it was supposed to open for another day, but okay, I'm excited. I'm going to put this on social media. And I put it on social media and people are like, I can't vote. It's like, I'm not really sure what's going on here. So I found out that they had accidentally sent the email out a day early. So
Oh.
I went ahead and took it down. And here comes my inner critic again, right? She was
Mhm.
like, girl, that's embarrassing. Like, people already showed up and spent a little bit of time trying to support you. Now you're going to put it up again tomorrow. They're not going to want to spend the time supporting you. You've already
Mhm.
wasted their time, right?
Oh.
Okay, great, cool, right? Thanks, inner critic. And what I had to do at that point was talk myself through it again because she's gonna keep showing up because that's what she does. This is what all of our inner critics do, no matter how much work we put into overcoming it and quieting it and shifting to cheerleader mode. It does come back up. It's that second, excuse me, it's that second thought that we have to gain control of, right? So the second thought could be the inner critic continuing to run wild and put you down and make you second guess yourself and make you take a step back and go, never mind, this really wasn't meant for me to begin with. I didn't know why I think I could be voted for this award, right?
Mhm.
Or you can choose to let your cheerleader scream louder than that critic and cheer for you to go do that thing, which is gratefully what I decided to do. Well, so I put it up again today. I'm like, here we go again. Please, come out, vote, do the thing. Whole bunch of people. It's saying that I can't vote. It's saying that I already voted today, which they couldn't have because I had just put the link out, right? I was
Yeah.
like, oh gosh. Oh, now I feel stupid, right? It's not my fault. It was the technology that was being used. But here I am. Oh my goodness, this is so embarrassing. What are they going to think? I can't ask people to go back again and vote when the technology comes back around because I'm inconveniencing people. What right do I have to do that, right?
Yeah. So
Except
what
when
was
I
the
do.
problem?
So there was just some tech glitches.
Glitch or something? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm not running the system, so I have no idea what they were, but when I
Yeah.
emailed the help desk, they were like, "Yeah, we had some tech glitches. It's been fixed.
Yeah.
You can ask people to vote again, but they may have to clear their cache." Here I
Mm.
go again. Oh, that's inconveniencing people. I don't want to ask people to do that. That's way too much. I've already asked for enough, right?
Mhm.
I didn't ask people to clear their cache, but I did go back and I was like, "Hey, I got word that it came back up. Would you go back out and vote again?" And you know what I got from them? Girl, yes, of course. And a whole bunch of them shared it for me. None of them came back and said, "You're silly. You inconvenienced me. You've taken up too much of my time." Like my critic would have had me believe in that they would do. Right.
Yeah.
So the point is we all have that inner critic, that
Mhm.
negative inner voice, and no matter how hard we work on it, it comes back. Less frequently, less loud sometimes, right? Depending on what's going on. But this was a big deal. I was getting ready to put myself in front of my entire audience of social media, my email, everybody, right? This was a big deal. And so my inner critic was pretty loud. It was essential that I didn't let her have the last say, that I didn't let her get the second comment in. That was
Yeah.
when my inner cheerleader really needed to step up and have her say. And because of that, I mean, voting is still going on for a few days. By the time that this video comes out, it will have been done. But I'm hopeful and I'm excited, but I wouldn't have even had the opportunity to do that had I let the inner critic rule.
But either way, it's good that you even did it, right? Like the
Yeah,
fact is that you did it, and even if you don't win this time, you can still try again next time.
100%.
So,
And I can celebrate the brave thing. Like I can
right.
celebrate doing the courageous thing, putting myself out there. I can celebrate and believing in myself.
I mean, you got
And
through to the first, you got through the first round. That's a celebration in itself,
thank you.
you know,
Yes, I
an
agree.
accomplishment,
Yeah.
So I think, just we just have to keep pushing. And sometimes it's so hard
Mhm.
because, I think as women, it's really hard for us to promote ourselves, to celebrate ourselves for fear of judgment, right?
Yeah.
For fear that someone might think that we are too,
Cocky, full of ourselves.
right, too proud of ourselves, too boastful. And
Mhm.
I think that you need to be, right?
Well, and I've had women ask me that, when I've led groups and I've had women ask me, what's the difference? How do I know that I'm being confident, not cocky or conceited, right?
Hmm.
And that is like that's a thing that comes up a lot for women too. So it is really important to talk about that. I'm so glad you mentioned it because the concern about coming off as conceited comes up so much for us,
Hmm.
especially as women, right?
Right, because
And
men don't think this; they just do it.
I think
They
generally no.
no, they don't.
Right? No, generally, I don't think that they do, but women, I see that it comes up time and time again. I see it all over the place. Like, I'm afraid to put myself out there and to talk about my strengths because it could sound conceited. I'm afraid people are gonna think that I'm conceited. And to that, I would say 2 things. Number 1, it doesn't matter what other people think. That is their, perception, and you have 0 control of other people's perception. Actually, that's something I wanna come back to. I'm talking about other people's perceptions. And then there really is a line between being conceited and being confident. Being confident is knowing who you are, knowing what you stand for, knowing what you're capable of. Being conceited is more like showing up like, you know, I'm better than other people. I'm so good at this thing when you're not.
Right.
It's a different energy than believing in yourself between, confidence and conceit. And so I think if you're worried that you're coming off as conceited, you're probably not conceited.
The thing is that you never really see you put yourself out there, and the people who may be talking trash about you are not your fellow entrepreneurs or your fellow business
Mhm.
owners. It's somebody who's not doing shit with themselves. It's someone who is jealous. It's someone who is not trying. They are just really playing small for themselves. And
Yeah,
that's a them problem. And,
100%.
and I see that, I think that social media is so great, right? It exposes you to so many, different people that we would never get exposed to in real, prior to social media.
Mhm.
However, it can be so damaging and so, hateful at times, right?
Yeah.
There could be so much damaging things said to somebody. Um, so I think it's really like, just being mindful of what you're taking in, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to come back to the thing about other people's perceptions because I actually heard somebody ask the other or saw somebody ask the other day, "How do I change other people's perceptions of me?" And I
Mhm.
Exactly, and I think, there's gotta be some education there, but the answer is really simple. You don't.
Mhm.
You don't. You most often can't, and it's not your job to do
Right.
that. And here's why. Because other people's perceptions are based on their life experiences. All the things that they've had happen to and around them in life brought them to their way of being and thinking where they are right now. You can't change that, nor
Right.
should you. If you're showing up as who you are and you're being your most authentic self, it is not your responsibility to change other people's perceptions.
Yeah. And and that, and like to your point, like that might be where they are right now, and but that they may not stay there. And
Yeah.
so you just have to keep doing what you're doing for yourself,
Mhm.
and maybe they'll catch up.
And if they don't, that's okay. Again, it's not on
Right,
you, right?
right, right. You
But
just
yeah,
have
set
to.
the example too. That's a great point. You can set the example and maybe you can open up, you can, through them watching you, that will open up doors for them. And that's incredible too. But ultimately, whatever they're doing, that is on them.
Yeah.
You just
I
need
just,
to be,
say just lead with kindness, and really that's all you can do. And,
yes.
um, that's, I think, is the most important thing. And, sometimes though, some people try to bring you down, and that's like the biggest
Yeah, and we're not saying
challenge.
it's not hard, right?
Yeah. No,
It's
I think it's the
tough.
biggest
It's tough to
challenge.
be ridiculed and judged. And you also have to go back to whatever that person is experiencing, whatever put them in that state of mind. That's sad that that brought them there. And it's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them.
Right. Right. I mean, it takes a tough skin to really like put yourself out on the internet, and to
Yes.
really be prepared for the feedback that someone may give to you, whether it's positive. It's like, yeah, we're all prepared for the positive stuff. Like, yes, tell me how great I am. Okay. But be prepared for some of the negative feedback, right? And sometimes people won't say it to your face, but you might hear it indirectly of someone. You might get some negative feedback over time, but you just got to be prepared. If you're going to put yourself out there, you got to know that with the good comes the bad occasionally.
Yeah, but the good news is you can be prepared. That comes back to the more time you spend like pouring into yourself, right?
Yeah,
The more
yeah,
you spend time doing being in a space of gratitude, of self-love, of self-reflection, just knowing who you are, what you offer, what you bring to the table, those kind of things, knowing that like deep down inside, that doesn't mean that those things don't sting. And it doesn't mean that you won't maybe even sometimes momentarily question yourself, but it means that you're able to rebound back to that space of knowing who you are and where you are and not having to worry so much about that hurtful or hateful comment that was made against you.
yeah. I think the most important thing for anybody is to just be self-aware, right? Like, be self-aware, and if you can be self-aware, then you can get through pretty much anything. Because if I know me, right, and I know how I'm going to respond, and I know well enough. Like, I tell my kids, like, I don't care what other people think,
Mhm.
right? But the truth is, I do care. I do care
Yeah.
what my friends and family think about me.
Yeah.
But do I care what a random person down the street thinks about me? It really doesn't impact me in one way or the other. And I say that to them to tell them just to be, you know, so that they are not putting too much emphasis on what this, person down the street is
Mhm.
feeling about them.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's like it's such a hard thing though, because you want them to kind of, because they'll say, well, why do I have to be quiet? Why do you care? Like, why I'm making so much noise? And I'm like, you're gonna embarrass me. I thought you didn't care.
Yeah.
Right?
I think most parents have had that conversation. The neighbors don't want to hear you. What are the neighbors going to think? I think
But
it's important. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, like, I mean, I do care. I mean, I don't want to be embarrassed, but I also like I don't care.
Yeah. It doesn't change who I am. I think yeah, I mean to wrap it up to come back around to where we started, when you're thinking about going for something, when you're thinking about, wanting this thing and calling it into your life and taking the action steps to go for it, the inner critic's going to come up. Know how to shift that to your inner cheerleader or at least quiet it down. I'd say go for the inner cheerleader personally. It's much more empowering. And then know that, yes, there are going to be people who are hateful or ugly or who don't support you, period. And they aren't the people who matter in your life. Do not let these people who are unkind, inconsiderate, be the determining factor whether you claim for something for yourself that you truly want.
Yeah.